We're taking a look at Group A here. Archon Dota up against compLexity Gaming, Game 2. This one is going to be potentially the deciding match. Actually, it is going to be the deciding match as to whether or not compLexity is the team that moves on with Archon Dota. If they end up losing this game, that means that they have to go into a best-of-1 match up against Cloud9 in the near future here before the playoff stage 2. If they end up winning it, that means that they are going to be the team that moves on against or with Archon Dota into the next round. And depending upon what ends up happening, we're still going to be able to have a game 3, but this is really the key deciding match right now, the pen ultimate to the actual ultimate. My name is Lyrical Dota, joined today by MotPax. Any thoughts right as we get ready to move on into this draft?
Well, again, the Darkseer, he was left out, one of the bigger heroes, but it looks like he's not going to be prioritized. Definitely the big thing's the Doom ban, right? So Archon saying, well, we don't have first pick, and we really don't want to have to deal with that hero. So that's one way to avoid it right there.
Yeah, definitely. And, I think that makes a ton of sense right now. They do end up taking a Shadow Fiend second. They did have the Tusk taken away from them. And I think that this is sort of an interesting little dynamic here. You've got another hero that is sort of going to be the minus armor side that they're going to be taking a look at this time around. We did see the Slardar band out, but instead they're going to be taking the Shadow Fiend. And this to me feels like Archon Dota's comfort spot, is the Slardar, is the Tusk. These heroes that can either roll on in and do a lot of damage early, and then they can sort of snowball throughout the whole rest of the game, making good decisions, taking smart engagements, or they go the very minus armor heavy route. And both of these heroes kind of fit that role a little bit. Shadow Fiend a little bit less so. This is going to mean they're going to need some type of defensive support. I would love to see a Dazzle here in the very near future for Archon Dota, but I feel like he might get banned out. The other option is Winter Wyvern, and against the Queen of Pain, you're going to need somebody there to help keep that Shadow Fiend alive.
Yeah, Dazzle Shadow Fiend is like the best thing ever. It's so good when he's trying to get that ultimate off and you're just slapping on the shallow graves. So I'm thinking that they'll probably ban that out here from the side of compLexity, seeing so they don't have the first pick. And then the Winter Wyvern will probably still be available. They will ban out the Brood, though, so a little bit worried about that Monkeys Forever Brood that they like to throw in various lanes. And the other good thing about the Shadow Fiend picking it up means that, first of all, compLexity can't snag it, so they have to go with the Queen of Pain, so they won't have it on the Radiant side. And like you were saying, the minus armor, just good for both overall minus armor strategies, but, securing that Roshan pit. And, I guess now Whitebeard just gets to wreck face with that Undying again. Well, hopefully he won't be godlike again, at least for the sake of compLexity.
Yeah, definitely.
That was quite the performance.
I mean, you think about the way that Shadow Fiend ends up working a lot on Radiant side is starting to stack on up his own camps. We saw that Whitebeard was able to move around and get that stuff done for the Batrider in the mid lane. I'd be really concerned about his ability to be effective and make those stacks happen if I'm compLexity right now. You need to be able to contest those early, because I really do think that's what ended up winning him that game there, that crazy gold acceleration. After the Batrider got his Blink Dagger, he had a ton of levels. He was just doling out so much damage with the sticky napalm as well as the flame break and everything else tossed out there. Firefly, of course, as well. It seemed like they were able to make a ton of damage happen. And when he was over there making those stacks and finishing them off as well, the Batrider and the Undying, then Tusk could move on into the mid lane. And that was what allowed him to really sort of accelerate. So just very effective use of the map. It looks like Archon Dota is very on point with making sure that they're getting every last bit of farm out of it that they possibly can. And if compLexity don't do something to contest that, it's going to be another tough game for them.
Yeah, and I was wondering, because Jo used to play quite a bit of Shadow Fiend, like back in the day, because he's been on various roles in a lot of teams. So it is there is the potential they could go for something like the safe lane, and you see compLexity Gaming. Not sure, one assumes the Shadow Fiend being in the mid, but we do see quite a few, like we saw in Nanyang, they ran the safe lane Shadow Fiend as well, and so you could see something like that. So it's kind of safer to just ban out the offlaners and assume that that's the thing that's missing for Archon. But we might end up with something like that Batrider again after he played it so well.
Yeah, certainly. There's always the chance. It's such a unique hero in terms of what it's able to do, and we have seen Archon prioritize it pretty effectively. After that last game, they've now moved on up to 4-1 on Batrider. So one of their most effective heroes behind Slardar and Tusk, who are sitting at what is that, 4-1 on Slardar actually as well, and 6-1 on Tusk. So they have their heroes that they really, really like, and of course that does mean that they're a little bit easier to target in the draft. We see two of them taken away in the first phase here, but they're going to go instead for the Ember Spirit. Another great hero, a very strong ability to be aggressive early if they want to do that again, and maybe we might end up seeing that Darkseer picked up. That is a really potent combo, although probably you're looking at a few too many cores there potentially. I'm not sure.
No, probably it's definitely still in the cards for sure there, just because they can run it, in that off lane and then have the Undying either paired up with them, still pretty good with the Darkseer. You can both run in, kind of get up in your face, or you can even be in a safe lane supporting role up top with either the Ember or the Shadow Fiend. And then for complexity though, when they're looking here, there is still the Dazzle, one of the bigger picks. I would be looking to snag that up right now if I was complexity, because I'm sure Archon will grab it if they don't.
Hmm. Yeah,
Probably the biggest card.
that to me seems very strong, definitely. Uh, I guess the thing, well, and it synergizes well with the Tusk as well. You've got the snowball into heal bomb, so I think that would be a really strong pick as well. It might not be completely what they want to do with their safe lane. They do end up taking it nonetheless. What I was going to
Yeah.
say about this is that if you think about the way safe lanes end up working, I guess that they already have the Undying picked up, so it's pretty good to have as the counter pressure there. Because now Archon can't be as effective with going very deep into a um, very aggressive lane there. And they pick up the Disruptor next. I like this hero a lot against Tusk. You end up bringing anybody. This means that you can't effectively bring anybody into the snowball with you. Is essentially what this means.
Yeah, pretty much. Or else it turns into quite the nightmare in the rumble in the jungle there, the static storm. And the other thing is it's kind of, that decent counter up against the Ember Spirit. If you place your remnants right, you don't get in too much trouble. If you can get far enough away that the glimpse won't be in within range, even if they still have vision on you from the Thunderstrike. So it's kind of nice just for a little bit of a safeguard, so you won't be seeing that pop up on complexity and then they end up with like an off lane Tusk or something like that. But they do go back for the Clink, someone who started out pretty poorly in this patch if I recall, but now the numbers have come back up. Last time I checked, he was sitting somewhere around pretty high. He was 60%, doing pretty well with certain teams. We saw Burning playing it with a BKB first build he tried in a couple of games. It worked very well, then opting into the Desolator, just relying on the early damage from spearing arrows and just trying to survive and keep firing them off. So let's see, looking at what's left here, we're going to get an Earthshaker ban. It's a little bit interesting, something that's probably, I don't know, with Swindles being relatively new to the offlane role, it's kind of hard to tell what might be his picks. Like, I don't know if he'll go like the offlane Queen of Pain is there. There's also obviously the Tusk, and the Earthshaker could have been something in that scenario. So maybe Archon just throwing out a ban against a hero that's particularly good. Probably not shoring up a Meepo pick, but you never know.
I have seen him pick Clockwork a couple of times as well, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It's a little bit funky with Tusk there. It's tough to tell. Like you mentioned there, obviously transitioning over into a new lane, you imagine that all these pros know pretty much every hero relatively in and out. Of course, it does become a little bit more difficult if you don't play one more than the other. And I think the Earthshaker ban makes sense. It's a hero that can definitely disrupt depending upon what's going on in any particular lane. They end up banning out the Bounty Hunter away from Archon. Very interesting. And they do take that Darkseer. So what we're going to be looking at here is a lot of Ion Shells getting placed down on top of this Ember Spirit, and just going to try and go balls to the walls as much as possible. The Disruptor here as well now, if they do end up diving a tower, it's so much more difficult to defend against your safe lane hero getting dove, because he's going to be able to glimpse on back if they do start trying to group up together. I imagine that they're going to look to try and get... I mean, Disruptor's definitely going to be the 5, Undying the 4, looking at probably trying to get the Undying the Mechanism maybe and push up together, or maybe they leave that for the Shadow Fiend. It could go either way.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can obviously when you talk about drafts and stuff, most people focus on the heroes and the skills, but a lot of it, especially in today's meta, does have to do with your mech hero. Speaking of which, that's Beastmaster used to be someone who'd do that, but probably not going to be this game, mostly just that Necro Rush. But anyway, with the Shadow Fiend and a Darkseer, you can opt for one of two things, and it also has to do with your Ember Spirit. So if you start getting an early lead, you can go for the Yasha right on top of the Ember Spirit early on, rather than going for something like the Battle Fury. You start pushing towers with Wand, Yasha, Bottle, and then if you go Mech on the SF, that does allow an early blink for Mu, which is something you sometimes see when they're partnered up with a good AoE hero like either the Disruptor or the Earthshaker. But you can also go for the mech on the Darkseid, of course, which allows the S and Y to be built on Jo. So it kind of depends like who's getting the better lane, who's getting the earlier farm, and you can kind of tailor that towards how you want to go about the early and the mid game for your team.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that's really cool. I mean, you mentioned the Darkseer and the Shadow Fiend there, Undying also. Wherever you want to throw them, essentially, and I think that probably, well, we actually do see Whitebeard heading up to the top lane now with only a set of two tangos, so he's going super poverty right now, actually. And Fluff and Stuff is going to be the one picking up more of the items here. Do you imagine that this continues, or it seems like usually Undying is somebody that you want to get a couple of items on at least?
It kind of depends. If I don't know, I would think likely he'll start farming up because for a disruptor, unless you're going to be winning team fights, you're really like basically what's even good on disruptor, like the eggs, basically.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you'll want a glimmer cape these days. I would agree that Undying would be the better hero with the farm in the majority of situations. So it could just be that they're focusing on a tri-core and it might just be a lot of farm heading towards all the cores and not too much on either support.
Oh, with the vision advantage, Fluff and Stuff, they're all trapped in the shards. This could be really disastrous. Does get the deny out, though. That is huge. He didn't actually scale up Necromastery, though, so isn't going to be able to get the extra souls from that one, unfortunately. Still gets away from that pretty good. I was wondering if he was going to get that. That would have been really sick, but not the greatest start, but not the worst start. I guess that's what we can say.
Yeah, he got a deny with 42 base damage. That's pretty impressive right there. Like, Shadow Fiend of all heroes to get the deny, so well done there. But yeah, it would have been pretty sick. And I guess it is a little bit better because you'll probably want the raises either way to farm up that first wave. I suppose that bonus damage would have been enough in this situation.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Whitebeard just going to try and harass away the Tusk here. So this makes a little bit more sense to me now. You're throwing the Beastmaster in this offlane with the dual Tusk. They are actually going to run on into Whitebeard yet again. Didn't get a decay stack off of that one. I think that he was trying to split the difference, wasn't quite able to make it happen. And now you've got an aggressive dual lane up against Disruptor, Undying, Ember Spirit. This lane could be really, really tough. They do have the Glimpse back if they want to use it. Might be switching over to Swindle now, seeing if they can bring him down. But just going to harass away. This lane looks like it could be really tough for them. There's always the chance once you end up getting a couple levels on this Ember Spirit, you're just going to be able to burst somebody down with the magical damage.
Yeah, it's a little tougher in this scenario where you've got kind of this tri-lane going on. It's a little rare that you'll have this Tusk Beastmaster dual lane. Both heroes fairly EXP dependent, and a lot of Beastmasters that we see today are actually running the safe lane just to ensure the early Necro book, because without it, the hero, you're not getting the full potential out of him. It forces you to take levels into something like the Aura rather than the Axes. Rather, when you don't have the Necro book, you go Axes instead of Aura. But it looks like they're going to lock off Whitebeard here, and he's still got 4 seconds for a decay, but it won't be enough damage to bring him down.
Yeah, pretty close there. Oh, chains onto 2. Nice little split the difference there. We do not have a glimpse back up yet for Disruptor. Just levels it up now. Is going to be able to find the kill on the Tusk. The Ember Spirit falls as well. So 1-for-1 trade. I think that's worth it for complexity every day, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Regen Rune scouted out as well down in the bot lane. It's just going to be picked on up by the Dazzle, and he's going to roam on over here. No big problem at all. I think that it's definitely worth it to just be able to deny on out the runes. And now Shadow Fiend, after nuking the wave, can go on up top and take this bounty rune as well.
Thinking about what Zizzy's going to do here. And probably get the early Ring of Aquila, and then sometimes we'll see people go Aquila. Oh,
Gyro's
they are going to get him.
Fall? I think so. There's the shards end up chopping on out, and Tusk falls him. Nicely done there. What were you saying about Zizzy there in the bottom lane?
No, it's okay. No, I'm just thinking now about how Zfrig is just like, oh, I saw Fluff. I took some notes down. I know what I'm doing. No, Zfrig played a good Tusk back in the TI as well. But so when you go for the Ring of Aquila, sometimes we'll see the Soul Ring paired up with it, and then you start heading to the enemy jungle. But then other players we've seen, not so much recently, but we have seen the Medallion and the Deso stacked on earlier on rather than the Soul Ring. But when you have a team that doesn't really have Arcanes that they're going to be using, and if they are looking to be more, like, he's going to have to be pretty individual. I don't think that they're going to have a lot of stacking going on. And yeah, he is going for the Ring and the Soul Ring. Pretty standard for the most part. And looks like there is some action top.
Yeah, Swindles is going to end up getting glimpsed on back yet again. Do end up being able to catch him on the other side of the shards. Nice play there, but I thought that he was going to be able to keep him alive. I think that they still might be able to. Fluff and Stuff is dropping pretty low. Axes do end up hitting him. They're going to finally take on down Swindles. Looks like Z-Freak's going to be able to make his way out of there. And this lane, pretty tough. We do have the wraparound now on top of Darkseer. Dazzle is here. I don't think that they end up finding this kill just with level 1 and Poison Touch. Not necessarily the best skill in the game.
Are you sure it's not super OP?
Yeah, that's
I don't know. I thought it was one of those good ones. I've been doing my Dazzle all wrong. You do max that first, right?
Yeah, definitely. Every day. No grave, just stats and Poison Touch. Particularly against the Darkseer who has Surge. Like, it
Oh, yeah, it's just so good.
yeah, definitely. But nonetheless, it does give you that extra little bit of slow in the early game. I think that they might have been up there to try and use it to kill off the Disruptor at the start. I'm wondering if that actually was what it was that... I guess it was the dagger damage over time that ended up finishing him off. But nonetheless... We're getting distracted, MotPax. Since he is keeping on doing his thing. He is going to be going for that soul ring, trying to be individual, as you mentioned. We did see several camps blocked out at the start as well, and this observer ward is going to be able to stay here throughout the whole duration, so no pulling. This has really led to Dazzle being significantly underfarmed. Still level 1, hasn't been able to get any experience from those camps either. It's been a tough going for him so far.
Yeah, now 4 minutes in. Just kind of, stacking up a little bit of farm here. Monkey's having an all right time up top. He's got his boots. He's got his poor man shield. He'll look to get that wand soon and probably start being a little bit active here. It's no idea quite yet as to what items everyone's going to be going here. I think it's pretty likely Moo will be getting the mech, especially when he's laning up against Ziz. The extra regen's pretty helpful. Actually, he forced some TP locations down. They are going to glimpse back Zizzy, but I'm not sure if they'll get this kill. It doesn't look like it. There's no detection, so that's kind of an issue.
The Poison Touch value kept him alive. Anyways, Swindle's here as well. He has been able to get level 5 throughout all of this. So while the lane hasn't been the best, they're actually going to be able to catch on to Monkeys Forever here. The Tombstone ends up dropping. I think that they're going to find a kill. Oh, the Soul Rip was enough to keep him alive. Does pay for it with his life, though, as Whitebeard dies. The rotation on in from the Queen of Pain didn't end up hitting on a Monkeys Forever with the Sonic Wave. I think that they kill Fluff and Stuff here. 1, 2, 3 might be able to make it happen. No, they're going to have to turn their attention to the Tombstone, which is killing absolutely all of them. Jesse ends up falling. Oh, and Ember Spirit now is going to turn around and die as well. So triple kill for Swindles at the end of the day. That boar paying off full dividends for him.
Yeah, they're having a pretty good time with it. This dual off lane is working extremely well. Whitebeard with that dying breath throw there. And as you talked about earlier, he is relatively underfarmed. Looks like they're going to come on around the backside of Moo, though. Get a couple hits off. He's going to take one more after this one. He's going to get it, though.
Nice.
Moo drops down.
Well played there. And just that recognition that they were going to be able to get it, that last second shadow wave coming out from the Dazzle was able to be enough to dole out that extra bit of damage. And, across the board, it's just a dangerous hero to play against. That 50 bonus damage coming out from every single searing arrow. So deadly in these early stages, particularly when you've got the armor stuff that's coming out from the Dazzle as we get into the later stages of these games.
And you can see Fluff and Jo are starting to make some sort of rotation down here. What kind of a detection are they bringing? They do have the dust here, and they'll be looking for that kill on Zizzy. That would be the ideal case. It might end up being just Vlad. No detection to spot this rotation, and Vlad will surely just be dead if they spot him up with the Thunderstrike, and they will. Not even going to commit the glimpse. This is great. They might be able to get a 2 for now because of Zizzy being here within range, and he's definitely the priority, but they don't have... Oh, they do have the vision in the backside. They'll bring him down, and Moo will just go in and tag up that Dazzle for the final kill. Looks like top lane, they're running Swindles out with the Flame Guard. They will get stunned up there. So committing the roar to ensure he survives.
Oh my god, I can't believe... The Vlad just committed the grave for himself, and then that ended up meaning that they were able to turn their attention on over into the Clinks. He must have thought that Clinks was going to be able to get out of there, and unfortunately not the case. 1,000 gold swing into their favor. Team Archon, a little bit unfortunate. I'll mention... Vlad is really, really effective on these supports. He's had a really good time at them. And I was looking through the stats again before the game ended up starting up here, and he's actually 0-10 on any hero that isn't a defensive support. So this is really his comfort area right now, and expecting to see some more big things, but it's so tough when you've been a little bit under-leveled because of the pulls, or the lack of pulls in your lane.
Yeah, he's just... He's really not getting quite a bit experience here. Like 1-1-1 in terms of skill builds. Not the best to keep someone alive. Ooh, Zizzy's in a dangerous spot here. They do have the dust if they want to YOLO it. But Zizzy's just pinging them out. And it looks like there will be rotations. Queen of Pain now coming inside. Vlad coming in. He's got this auto throw, that Sonic Wave. And they are annihilated by the rotation from Chessie. So
Really great
good getting there
rotation
from
there.
Zizzy.
Yeah, that was excellent. It was just about as much as the best it could go. The only thing was that the Shadow Fiend did end up getting that double stack, but definitely not worth it. 1,100 gold change, 1,000 experience as well. They do end up rotating on into the mid lane now. Whitebeard is going to drop very low. Z-Freak, are they going to be able to finish off this Tombstone in time? I think that they do. Where were the TPs? The Disruptor had one, but he just got back up, as did the Ember Spirit, and not quite wanting to go on in there to finish off the fight. It's a big ask to TP on into the mid lane to face off against two heroes, even with that Tombstone going.
Yeah, and speaking about how a lot of these, oh, actually, they have a rotation here. So they brought up the Clinks, similar to, most of your carries who come up for this early rotation. They have the Roar. They're just waiting for Monkeys to come too close. Oh, that looked like at the time, and they will go for it. Not enough time to pop any sort of Flame Guide or escape. Whitebeard will come in. But he doesn't have a Tombstone. We saw him drop it in the mid lane. Uh-oh, Whitebeard bit off a little bit more than he could chew here and just feeds them a second kill for their troubles.
That was
that's
great.
Going to put Swindles almost to Necro.
Yeah, a little bit of a miscommunication there potentially, or just not quite realizing. I wonder if at that point in time he thought that somebody else was going to TP in to try and make the rotation, but nobody there in time to help him on out. And compLexity is starting to take a little bit of a lead here. They are currently, if you take a look at net worth, about 3,500 net worth in the lead. They are going to chase. Can they find the Dazzle? Shadow Fiend is over here as well. They do have a glimpse on up. They're going to bring him on back. And this is probably a super dead Dazzle. Does grave himself, just wasting a little bit of time. Why not? No TP on him currently, but does get the Arcane Boots. So, wonderful, wonderful play.
Space created, man. That's a space created Shallow Grave right there.
Absolutely. And they're pressuring mid lane while it's happening, so why not? Oh, Chessie might get caught here if he's not careful. No, it looks like they're not going to be able to find him in time. Snowball on into the mid lane. Does end up getting down the Tombstone for Whitebeard here. The rest of the heroes are coming in from behind. Can they actually find and pick off Chessie? Oh, they got the Thunderstrike off, and she's coming back. This is going to be a kill. Absolutely huge. She goes down. Disruptor picks that one up, and the Queen of Pain traded. Oh, a little bit unfortunate there for compLexity.
Yeah, it's kind of got to be a little bit cautious there with that lead that they do have, but they are still sitting on top. JO's up there, tangoing with the top three, and shortly in behind is Moo. So we see JO. He is, well, so far, not giving away anything. Right? It looks like he's going for the SMY with that Belt of Strength.
Invis rune on Z-Freak as well. They're potentially going to want to look for this one. If they do end up finding the ice shards here with the block off, I think that this might be a kill. Oh, they end up separating the Shadow Fiend. He does end up popping Requiem, but I don't know if it's going to be enough damage. Static Storm now dropped on top of the Clinks. He's stuck in the middle of all of it, but can they take on down Jaya? I think that they do. One more hit. No, he ends up taking out the Clinks in return. Oh, not quite able to make it happen. The Clinks does get the kill, and I think is going to survive throughout all of it. We've committed for this as well from the south. We have the Ember Spirit coming on in. The Beastmaster does end up dropping to the Darkseer. In other areas of the map, and Vlad is going to end up falling, takes out Whitebeard for his trouble, and the blink away by the Queen of Pain. Chase yet again. They do end up glimpsing her on back. Oh, but oh no, the misplay. It shouldn't have happened that way, but they still end up getting the Queen of Pain. A little bit of a miscommunication there.
I actually just noticed, I thought that the Shadow Fiend already had his treads. He actually just got his treads, so I was thinking he was on his way to Sanj. So 4,400 net worth, not quite enough to get that secondary item when you're sitting on about 700 gold. And really, when you only have Ring of Aquila and treads, there's, I don't know, the Requiem is basically everything he's offering to these fights just because of all the control that's coming up from compLexity, even with the Roar being nearby, all these stuns being thrown up and around. But now it's starting to get a little bit scary here from Swindle. Like, you can see him soloing people, and he'll almost have the Necro 3. Picks up the second one for now.
Clink's almost just soloed the Shadow Fiend right there in the top lane. Came really, really close. It probably would have needed 2 more auto attacks, but not quite able to find it in time, unfortunately. Over in the mid lane as well, we do have a Sonic Wave, not up for a while longer, was committed in that last engagement. The sort of miscommunication there, the play, I had a little bit of trouble describing it. Essentially, Queen of Pain blinked on over, Ember Spirit went for the kill, and then Disruptor ended up glimpsing her back. So after the Ember Spirit ended up going for the kill, they kind of were in this awkward situation where the Disruptor had to solo her. It could have gone a lot worse than it ended up going, but still kind of fine here. Moo is now heading up towards the top lane, but it looks like they're not quite sure what they want to do yet. They are going to find on out. No, they don't find Zizzy. He is actually perfectly fine. They end up snowballing.
Yeah, monkeys will just zip out though. Moo's running right in there looking for a vacuum. He's only gonna catch one though. Are they gonna commit to this? It looks like it. They get Searing Chain somehow hits both. Max range apart. Vlad's gonna have to grab himself to stay alive. Swindles gets caught inside a Static Storm, but it won't be enough damage to do anything. They'll throw the Requiem as well, and the Roar comes out. So they've lost the Disruptor. Now Zizzy in trouble, stuck in near the wall. They've got enough protection to finish him off with those Ion Shells. And again, a Walrus Punch. Now stuck on top of monkeys. They're gonna bring down the Shadow Fiend, Chessie in the back lines. Z-Freak now gonna be the one to go down, and well, we'll take that as a win there for Archon, assuming that they don't lose Moo here. I don't know what Chessie can pull out of the bag. He's almost got that Sonic Wave up. Is there going to be a play? Is there a play, Lyrical? Oh, he's going
to... Denied a Roshan, I believe in you. No, he's just going to TP out. Smart play there. It was very, very close. Almost ended up catching there with the chains in the end as well. Fight recap, we're looking at 1,400 gold swing. Relatively close. It looked like there as well that there was a chance for them to be able to really turn it around with the Clinks, but not quite able to happen. Thunderstrike now down on top of the Beastmaster. Swindle needs to make his way out of here. Is going to get glimpsed on back, but Monkeys is going to run away the other direction. They don't want to take this fight quite yet. Catch with the shards onto Whitebeard. I think that he falls. Tombstone zombies are still doing their thing, but they do end up taken out in the end. Clinks gets the last hit there on top of the Undying, and a really, really extended, strange, and bizarre engagement in the mid lane as both of the towers are still standing.
Yeah, we've actually only lost the safe lane towers on each side so far, and it looks like compLexity. They should be able to get this. Just 3 points in the aura, stopping at 2 in the axes. Seems to be the standard these days. It used to be that you'd always max the axes, but mostly because you're ancient farming. And Fluff will go down there. I mean, gets found out by a Queen of Pain and Mr. Zizzy, so not too much you can do in that situation. And again, that aura now stacking up still has the Archer and the melee creep, as well as all these creeps just swinging away. Look at them go. Bonus
That's
35
crazy.
increased attack speed. That tower is just melting.
It's so much damage coming out so quickly, and I mean, I think that that's one of the most underrated part of Beastmaster's kit. Whenever you put his hero, you think about Roar, you think about that long disabled, a long range of wild axes, but honestly, Inner Beast, 35 bonus attack speed just at level 3, and it's about to be maxed out for all of those little creeps, for all of the Necronomicons, now level 2, about to be level 3. This hero really can bring a lot to these early push lineups, the early aggression lineups, and they're starting to hit their stride. Pretty soon the Queen of Pain is going to be able to finish on off for Orchid as well. He's going to get caught out now in the top lane. Monkeys Forever doing a lot of damage, but not quite able to finish it off. Oh no, she's super dead. Moo is here as well. Yeah, that's a dead hero. Shadow Fiend ends up finishing her off in the end.
Yeah, but space created. Now it looks like they are going to try and get this tower. Moo will TP. There is TP for Monkeys as well, and JO2, if they want to all come down, commit some sort of defense to this. You can see Zizzy just chews through those towers, and once that Deso gets delivered, it's going to be even worse. They'll bring back Z-Freak, and they can have a Searing's Chains popped up on top of them, and they will they sacrifice Z-Freak?
They have Grave if they want to commit it for this one. Oh, not quite able to make it happen. Undying with the Soul Up is going to finish him off, and they are just going to back on out now. Vlad, unfortunately, stuck around a little bit too long, and no TP. This is the second time for him that he hasn't been able to have it happen, and is going to end up getting taken out there. Zizzy in the mid lane.
That seemed like a miscommunication there from Call. Just like, either let him go or don't let him go. Don't hang around thinking about graving him, because you're just going to end up being the next food there, especially with a max leveled Glimpse. I'm sure it would have been back up and available anyway. So now they can move for the Roshan, now that the rest of Call has kind of moved their way. You know, they're heading towards some of these other towers. They take down the mid tower there from Zizzy.
Yeah, it's tough. This is the timing that you wanted out of compLexity. You wanted to be able to take this Roshan. They are all going to be up for it, and it isn't the fastest Rosh in the world by Archon. They end up committing the mech also. We do have the Queen of Pain as well as Z-Freak in the area. They're going to come and commit here. I think that they can take this fight. The shards end up blocking off Fluff and stuff. They do still have Glimpse. The dust ends up getting popped. That reveals the Clinks there.
Oh, it's a big Sonic Wave.
Huge, able to burst on down that Disruptor. Now they're going to be able to turn as well into the mid lane. J.O.'s getting snowballed in on top of nice vacuum wall, but only ended up catching on Zizzy, and I think that he's going to be fine throughout all of this. Undying ends up taking out the Clinks in the end, though. Buyback on the Shadow Fiend. They're trying to get back into here. They do get stunned up on top of Z-Freak with the silence from this Disruptor ulti after he bought back, so this fight is going to start turning over into Archon's ways with all these buybacks, but is it going to be worth it? That's the big question. Snowball to disrupt the Glimpse. He does end up catching onto Whitebeard. Walrus Punch finishing him off, but everybody is going to be dead in a second here by compLexity, and they're still going to get the Roshan on Archon. That team fight, I think, was worth it. With the 2 buybacks, I want to say, that's still a little bit more into compLexity's favor, but the big thing is they end up getting Roshan, and that's the win for Archon.
Yeah, it actually does work out to a gold change there because of the buybacks in favor of compLexity. But yeah, once you add on the Roshan, because that wouldn't have been tacked onto all of that, it will end up being a net gain there. for them, and of course that also means they have the Aegis, so it will help for them trying to get back some of this tower deficit that they're currently at, and putting it on the SF, he's got the helmet of the Dominator, just helps him, stand there, do his thing. There is an Orchid up for Chessie. I think the problem with that fight was it was a really nice Sonic Wave, right? Like we were all like super psyched up, but he kind of went for that play where, okay, this is like the max value Sonic Wave I can get, but because he went in so far away from his team, there wasn't enough follow up to actually lock them down and make something good out of it. It's just kind of that catch-22 you have in some of those situations. It's like you get that 5-man Ravage, but your whole team's 10 paces behind you or whatever, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. Well, it's better than the no man Ravage still, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I do that when I play Enigma, just black hole 5 heroes and then die afterwards, because I didn't even put down the Midnight Pulse. But nonetheless, they do feel comfortable now pushing on down this mid tower. They could potentially mount a defense here if they wanted to, but it's a little bit tough. I mean, obviously the Queen of Pain is going to start and pull this creep wave. I think this is the better play, is just hold out until you have all of your ultis back up. You need Sonic Wave, you need Weave, you need these big, huge spells here to be able to really contest this. In the meantime, Swindles is just going to be pushing on out this bottom lane with the Necrobook level 3. They are going to rotate on in to try and find him, but he's just going to be able to TP out of here in a second, I believe.
Yeah, it's almost unfortunate that they have no ward coverage by the Roshan pick, because the smoke's essentially wasted, except it will help them find Swindles, and he's not TPing out in time. As the glimpse, it's going to be here. He is just dead.
Oh, no. That shouldn't have happened. Not like this. Oh, Static Storm committed, though. That's kind of a win-ish. I don't know. It's tough. He ended up trying to turn on to Whitebeard and see if he could take him out. The tough thing about committing that Static Storm there is they're not going to have it for the next 80 seconds, which does burn a little bit more time off of the Aegis. But I guess that considering all the lanes are pushed in, it's kind of okay, because they would have to push these out regardless. It's a tough one. I think that right now compLexity are going to be in a fine spot to not lose any of their towers. The problem is that they want to be able to push with this lineup, because I think that if you let Ember Spirit as well as the Shadow Fiend get more farm, compLexity has a bit of a window. They really want to be able to push this on down, and while Beastmaster is great, he's got a great disable in the late game, their damage dealers become a little bit squishy, both the Queen of Pain as well as the Clinks.
Yeah, and Monkeys hasn't committed. Oh, actually, he did just commit to a build. He actually picked up an Ultima Orb, so not opting for the Battle Fury or the straight Yasha.
I wonder if he's going to go into Manta. It's just straight into it.
I wonder if he's... I would think that'll probably be the item, yeah. It just makes sense with the Orchid, I suppose. Not really much other choices for an Ember Spirit if he wants to continue split pushing to draw this game out.
I did see Chessie yesterday pick up like a Manta first on a Queen of Pain. It was the weirdest build ever, but one of the things that they like to do. So a lot of these teams just not necessarily going for the, cookie cutter build. They're taking the ones that they want to do to give themselves the best chance to win the game. Clinks does end up revealing himself here, but the smoke 3-man into the enemy jungle. They're going to be able to find on out the Darkseer here. Can they burst him down in time? Orchid comes down as soon as the surge wears off. Mech does end up getting popped, but it looks like Moo is going to fall. The rotations on in from the rest of his team are going to be a little bit too late. And the entire time that this is going on, they need to be careful here. Beastmaster isn't with them. He's pushing down the bottom lane, and the DD up on the Queen of Pain, while very good, isn't going to build enough. Oh, there we go. The Sonic Storm is committed for this. Chessie is caught up from the rest of his team. Vlad not going to be able to get into range to be able to grave him in time, and he has to grave himself. Still no TP on this hero. Z-Freak going to get bursted down, and it looks like everybody that ended up going for the smoke gank is going to end up dying. Suzy can only look on in shock and horror as the rest of his team evaporates. Maybe space created if they can get this tier 2 bottom.
Yeah, and actually, I'm just looking at. They should have. They would have been able to see actually Archon placing that ward, because they had their own observer up there. Maybe they were smoked when they placed it up on that cliff, but just because of their positioning and where they were, coming in with the glimpse is just so devastating. It basically had complete control over it. They didn't even really have to use it in order to bring them back and draw them into a fight. They just get caught out under total vision, and then using the static storm, the kinetic field. Very well played by Fluff and stuff. Again, he's really showing off here. And with the Blink Dagger Disruptor, which he's actually going to be able to use to pick off this courier. And his Whitebeard pops his Inda's Rune instead. He steals the kill.
Nice. Always good to
Typical
have
Whitebeard.
Nothing on that courier, but still somewhat demoralizing indeed when you end up getting those pickoffs on those key items. Or on the courier, rather, I should say. Again, he wants to be able to find these pickoffs, but these heroes are just so difficult to really lock down or be able to find the kills. Like, there's been a couple of moments where it seemed like he was going to be able to have it, and it just doesn't end up working. They're looking for the catch here, but he's going to be able to TP away, no problem. And 3 heroes rotating in. This is scary. If he wanted to, he probably could have left a remnant there and they could have reinitiated, but playing it a little bit more safe at this point in time. They've still got a little while. The Aegis did just expire as well for Shadow Fiend, so they're going to wait it out. It's starting to feel more and more like it's complexity. The onus is on them to really apply the pressure here, and I'm not sure how much longer they can really wait. I mean, obviously they probably need to wait for the next Roshan, but it's tough. It's looking more and more deadly for them.
Yeah, looking into later phases of the game, I would say that Archon would have the advantage, and it always going to be hard for complexity to push high ground. They're going to be needing the Aegis. They have to watch out for the vacuum into the static storm. So looking now, I would say that Archon, like, they are leading in terms of gold and everything, but they are leading as well because they have the capabilities right now to drag this game later. As the fight is going to start with the static storm on top of Swindle, so they're going to be trying to kill him off before the roar comes out. Nice vacuum, try and keep him right in the middle, and he does die before he can get it. The wall dropped down. Now the Sonic Wave on top of them all. Z-Freak going to be the next to fall. Everyone looking healthy on the side of Archon. They're just going to have to leave Chessie as he starts to blink away, and Vlad's just dead.
Oh my god, huge kills. The blink away by Chessie, but he ends up getting blinked on top of by the Disruptor, and the glimpse on back, full man team wipe. And that is not the way you want it to go. This is looking like a 4,400 gold swing, 5,900 experience. Archon team wiped them so cleanly. It was just they're sort of luring them on in. Come on, come hang out with us. We'll be fine. And then Undying dropping the tombstone up on that high ground. The vacuum wall. Also the static storm to start it off. That was probably the biggest thing right there. Fluff and Stuff being able to lay that down and keep the Beastmaster out of that fight. He didn't cast out anything. It was just complete and total devastation. So really good play across the board. I think that so far, we talked about it last game, Fluff and Stuff, the Tusk was really the MVP. I think the Disruptor is starting to make that same type of plays here in this game as well for Archon.
Yeah, and I was actually just realized I hadn't even crossed my mind earlier, but we have actually Whitebeard on the side of Archon, and he's not the one playing the Disruptor. He was widely regarded as one of the best Disruptor players, one of the first people to really start bringing it into the pro scene. Maybe it gets to be like a year and a half or a couple of years ago now. Just played it religiously on the teams he was on. So he must have a lot of respect and confidence in Fluffy playing that, or maybe he just really likes playing Undying. But
yeah, don't broke
Swindles,
fix,
this is like deja vu down here.
Oh no. I believe in you. Don't get caught. Well, thankfully, Archon is coming in from the other side this time as opposed to from behind him. So should be able to survive through this one. Roche respawning in just a couple of seconds here. Again, such great use of the camps here as they do end up getting down another... Well, they didn't actually stack that one up, but regardless, they're still going to be able to take on out this Ancient 3-stack. And with Roche respawn, they ended up spotting this out. Everybody... Actually, I don't think complexity realized this is up right now. They're going to try pushing in this top lane. If they don't... Potentially, Archon could try and push this quickly. They don't have a ton of minus armor, but a little bit.
They have the bird. Check right out, so... Swindles, he's ready for this one.
Okay. True enough. All right, there we go. No problem.
They are not anymore, though.
Ooh. A little bird.
This blink, you can get to its maximum advantage there. And
Starladder does not support animal cruelty. I'm just putting that out there.
I don't want PETA on us.
All right, we do have another rotation on into the top lane. They glimpse on back the Beastmaster.
Gotta watch out for that one.
Oh no. Now they might end up being able to take this fight actually. Whitebeard is over here, drops the tombstone down on top of the Queen of Pain. Dazzle's in the area as well. They might try and rotate and try and take out the Tusk first instead, but they're going to be able to find Vlad, potentially run him down. I think that he is just dead, and now complexity need to get out of here. They leave him to his own devices. Does actually TP out this time. Vacuum already committed. He's going to be able to get out of here. So nobody dying quite yet. We do have the silence on top of monkeys, but I think that Chessie should be fine? Maybe? Is he going to get caught? Glimpse on back yet again. The kinetic field is down. Do they commit the static storm? No, not going to do it. And I don't think that they have any more catch here to be able to find him. But a really awkward engagement starting at the tier 3 top and not really stopping since then. BKB next item on Clinks.
Yeah, he's just shy of mana on the static storm. I'm sure, I think he probably would have went for that just because he had monkeys right there. Would have been able to commit enough damage, and it looks like they will now have to have Roshan. It is under watch by the Hawk, and everything is still up. Like, we didn't see anything committed there from complexity, so I'm sure they'll be a little bit wary of this. And it looks like they're going to try and find Swindles. He does blink deeper into the trees. unlikely they'll be able to grab him without the kinetic field. Still 4 seconds cooldown. So he does TP back to base though, not opting for a creep wave, which means that he can't join his team in the middle or anything.
They don't necessarily know that yet, though. They are going to be pushing out all of these lanes. Actually, it looks like Archon are going to be comfortable moving on into Roshan now at this point, seeing as you do have these up in the top lane. With no TP boots, they know that they're not going to be able to get there in time to contest, I think. Maybe they're actually going to try and take this fight. Okay, no, they're just going to go for Roshan. But I don't think that they can trade tier 3 for Rosh. This tower is going to fall really quickly. They need to get back to defend this, I think. Like, they're going for Roshan, but Ember Spirit's going to be in here. Maybe create a little bit of time for them to finish off Roshan, and then we get the TPs on in. But the tower is going to end up falling now. Klinks finishes that one off. It's still so risky. Anything can go wrong very, very quickly in this next little couple of minutes here. They need to be able to defend against this. If compLexity are able to win a team fight... Oh, God, they're going on in. They're actually going to be able to maybe take on out Roshan now. It's about to go down. I'm not sure if this is the play, though. They jump on in there. Beastmaster doesn't end up getting off the roar. They're all going to fall apart. So much damage being dealt as the Ember Spirit comes on back in. Zizzy's BKB, is he going to end up going down? They do end up finishing him off. Monkey's a double kill. And the tier 3s fall, but the barracks are still alive. Oh, God.
How fast was Fluff on that Static Storm, though? Like, just instantaneously. It's like, no. We know what you're going for. So they played that extremely well. And now with the Aegis, it's finally time for Archon to kind of push the boundaries in terms of the map. They've been holding their own end pretty well, but it's time for them to get a little bit aggressive here.
Absolutely, and I think that they are in a very comfortable space to do that. I mean, Shadow Fiend, he does only have Sanjin Yasha as well as the Helm of the Dominator, but the Aegis is going to give him a lot of comfort to do kind of whatever he wants. Undying is trying to build on into... Oh, okay, yeah, that's a thing too. The AC is coming on up to him. That is definitely a thing. I was like, how does he have this little farm? What is going on? But makes a lot of sense. And you mentioned as well the idea of getting farm on the Disruptor versus the Undying. I think that it's worked out for them because this Blink Dagger has definitely won them a few different engagements. So I like that play. Tombstone's still not committed here. Whitebeard as well as Jael are going to move on up into the top lane. Ember Spirit, oh my god, ends up getting a solo pick on Tusk. Sorry about that one, but this looks like it could be close to the end if we don't see some miraculous plays by compLexity pretty soon. They have no buybacks on anybody.
Yeah, Zizzy is here. He's pretty scary with that BKB and the Deso. He still has 9 seconds left on it. So if Archon commit too heavily, he would be able to do something about... Oh, they're actually going to aggressively force him in from Whitebeard, but they don't quite... They're thinking about the glimpse. I don't think they have the vision, though. No, they don't have the vision onto the high ground. Or did they? No, they didn't. Couldn't get the Thunder Strike off on top of him, unfortunately.
And the bottom lane's going to be pushed on in. Ember Spirit is here. I don't think that Beastmaster can solo him. I mean, he can do a lot of damage with the Roar as well as Necrobook level 3, but that Ember is pretty freaking tanky now, already having the Manta style up as well as working towards that Battle Fury. He's going to dole out a lot of damage. Scary, scary proposition indeed, and they're getting ready to move on in and potentially take something here. With a lot of compLexity actually vacating the mid lane, I think that they can get up on the high ground now. This is actually just going to be a straight-up tier 3 tower if they don't get back quickly.
Yeah, it looks like they are all... Actually, Jesse's going to have to pick up a TP scroll here. He's going to have to sell something. Ditch out that wand. And now Zizzy will return too. So it looks like we'll have the full engagement if Swindles can get back here. And you're right, the tower just falls before they even commit any sort of a defense. Tower now down. And Zizzy will get glimpsed. Luckily, he actually BKB'd. And that was after the glimpse went, I believe. So it was actually wasted thinking he was going to get glimpsed back to the top lane. He panicked. And now he won't have it for this engagement.
Oh, God. There we go. Static Storm drop. Not going to connect onto anybody, though. They did end up committing the vacuum there. No, they didn't end up committing the vacuum or the wall. So both of those still up if they want to go for it. Roar down on top of Monkeys. Nice force staff keeping him back. Canceling off the Requiem of Souls. Not wanting to commit that if he doesn't have to. Meanwhile, catches with the chains on top of the Dazzle. Still no reveal on top of them with the Glimmer Cape keeping him alive. But they've gotten what they came for. They took on down that barracks and now just going to casually walk away or maybe reinitiate. Are they going in on top of this? Oh, Zizzy caught out from the rest of his team. Huge kinetic field, and then they vacuumed it onto the other side. Now Z-Freak as well as Vlad getting turned on. No grave anywhere. Swindle is going to end up falling in just a second. Maybe no kinetic field. Not going to keep him there. Oh, maybe they can turn this back around again if they wanted to. Like, they're inside their base right now, and there's nothing compLexity can do about it. No Clinks right now, no Dazzle. Anybody that moves forward is just going to get killed. Oh, BKB now popped yet again. They do end up killing off the Shadow Fiend, though. All right, he's coming back in just a second. Z-Freak now caught out from the rest of his team. He falls in just a second, I believe. And Ember Spirit, double kills, everything that this hero could want. He's going to take down Swindles. The Ion Shell on top of him is just doling out too much damage. Buyback by the Beastmaster. Look at this Ember Spirit go. He is tearing fools apart. And now he's just going to be able to walk away casually from this one. Or go back in if he wants. Why not?
Yeah, even if they try and kill him, like he could remnant and buy back in and just finish it, honestly. So, but everyone else is gone. It's just like, all right, we got what we wanted. Took a couple more kills to boot, and ends up being Chessie the only one who comes out on top on the side of complexity with 1085 in gold, and he will have buyback now because of it. But this Ember, he's rather terrifying with the Battle Fury and 3,300 gold sitting in his purse.
I mean, yeah, Chessie was able to get those kills. The Disruptor did end up falling, as did the Darkseer, but like. Take a look at that net worth graph right now. It's like 20k roughly in the bag. EXP as well. We're sitting at 2,500. Archon are just looking so strong. Clear, calculated. They know what they want to accomplish. They know what the sort of definition of their draft is. This one was a little bit different. Last time it was an early aggression, just take you on out, and this time around they've sort of switched it up to having a little bit of this timing window where they were a little bit vulnerable, and then they sort of flipped the script around. Were able to take a couple of solid, good team fights, the initiations that they wanted, and they might end up finding Swindles here if he's not careful. He's just sort of hanging out off the sides. I don't think that they find him. It would be a good amount of bad luck for that to happen, I think.
Yeah, I don't even think. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what the there's no like vacuum on the side of complexity, so you're really relying on maybe a really good roar on top of that Ember Spirit, or it looks like they will smoke up here on the side of Archon, look for a pick in the mid lane. It's gonna be a little bit hard to lock down Chessie. Oh, unless he blinks right into them, now it's gonna be on cooldown. He'll be forced to BKB, stuck inside the kinetic field. They'll just walk on out.
Oh, there's the Manta style off the silence as well. They're going to be able to chase here. I think that they can actually kill him. This isn't the team fight that Complexity wants, certainly. Another glimpse on back into the Static Storm. Grave committed, keeping alive Chessie a little bit longer, but he is going to fall in just a second. Shadow Fiend is hitting like a champion. They're going to try and maybe be able to take on out this barracks here, but oh god, two-man vacuum wall. Shiva's guard down as well. Moo does end up falling. Tusk gets that kill. But I think that now this is going to end up being the life of Swindles for it. They don't get the barracks either. So more and more bad news for Complexity. It's Archon are responding the exact way that they need to, and they're in an advantageous position right now. I mean, 20,000 net worth is going to do that to you.
Yeah, I'm surprised Izzy didn't go for that Rex. I guess because if he does die, it's quite literally just over with no buyback. So he needs to be a little bit cautious, even when he's going for kind of those YOLO plays. Now there's going to be TP top right next to Vlad. He looks like he's in trouble, even with the Glimmer Cape. Monkeys is going to scout this out, and Vlad's just going to have to kiss himself goodbye. So,
well, Grave. He had a TP that time, but unfortunately,
maybe
it's
J.O.
still
can
going to be
steal
his
it?
death.
No.
He has a DD also, just a new, fresh, good to go DD, and it's going to be a quick tier 2 tower. I do have to say, you mentioned there's no vacuum, there's no Winter Wyvern, there's none of these heroes that create this huge comeback ability. The biggest one that they've got is the Roar. This lineup out of Complexity is much more built around trying to find these pickoffs, and it's so difficult to do that against the Ember Spirit. Do you think that an Orchid would have made a difference, or was Ember Spirit's Manta still too quick that it wouldn't have mattered?
I think he did have the Orchid a little bit before the Manta was done, but he just never ran into him.
I meant the Clinks as opposed to the...
Oh, okay, I was as opposed to the Queen of Pain. I'm not sure. Maybe it could have helped, but it looks like Fluff will just come on in, and it looks like Zizzy's going to drop, and no buyback. They're actually going to vacuum Chessie inside the Static Storm. A nice little play by Moo, showing the synergy between those two heroes. There'll be a buyback from Z-Freak, so he comes back in and does something, I suppose, but 2 racks down. Monkey's TP's back in. Looks like Vlad's going to be next on the chopping block. Oh, or just Swindles will walk out.
God, no.
And it's over now.
GG ends up getting called. Complexity 2-0'd by Archon. That is Archon, I believe, 2-0ing everybody in the group. They might have lost one map, but they have looked incredibly powerful in this matchup with a bunch of really good teams. Archon, Complexity, Cloud9, Leviathan, all of these teams very, very good. And at the end of the day, what this is going to mean is we're going to have a playoff. Complexity up against Cloud9 at some point in time in the near future. They're going to play a best of one to determine who gets the last spot in the playoffs there in the stage
Wow.
two. So should be a really great matchup. If we take a look real quickly at what ended up happening the last time that these two teams met each other, Cloud9 did 2-1 them. So
Hmm.
a little bit of an advantage there. But again, these games have all been so close in terms of the way it's ended up turning out that it's tough to tell who's going to end up taking it. Time will tell, I guess. Any final thoughts here, MotPax, on the series at all, or what you end up seeing further as we go into the further into the star ladder?
No, I guess just props there to Archon. Played extremely well. They were down at the end of the laning stage, if I recall correctly. It was looking pretty good. That pick-off-oriented draft from compLexity was doing its job, but once the mechs and everything started coming out for the side of Archon and Fluff got a little bit of farm, as him and Whitebeard, I found the support play from Archon was superior than that of coming out from compLexity. Just the plays that you were seeing and the way they were able to kind of control the fights and heal up their allies. It just really showed. And the early levels, earlier items in both matches